Hello all. So I wanted to talk about happiness, basically. So I've written a couple paragraphs on happiness and produced a couple videos on happiness. And what I want to say most about happiness is that if you understand fundamental neutrality, so there's original sin, right? Notions of original sin. There's notions of original purity. There's notions of a blank slate consciousness. And you take all these into consideration. If you believe in fundamental neutrality, and you acknowledge that we all have preferences, but not attachments. So we all walk through the world without attachments, but with preferences, correct? Then we have the key to happiness, because everyone is free and everyone is flexible enough to accommodate your needs, basically. Now let's take happiness again and look at it a little more complicated. Let's assume that original sin is correct. Okay. So, with the assumption that original sin is correct, now let's reframe original sin first and acknowledge that original sin is a little more than having purpose in life. It's a little more than being born with a purpose. So, while we live our lives, unfortunately we don't remain happy because fulfilling our purpose begs the possibility that other people aren't going to accommodate our needs in expressing our purpose. We don't have an audience, basically. And so, that's dukkha. Dukkha is original sin, or suffering, or those two things. Okay, so now you look at Taoism, right? And Taoism has a balancing act that's always going on. And what I mean by that is that, it's like the Romans. The Romans look towards the golden mean, correct? Well, the Taoists look towards a mean too, a balance. And the only tricky thing about this balance is that you can be balanced by all things. You can balance all things, including yourself. Then there's the balancing of being balanced by all things and balancing all things. So you have to balance those two. Once that is accomplished, dukkha remains, suffering, because we still haven't fulfilled our primary purpose in life. Or actually, our life is the fulfillment of our primary purposes in life. So, if you understand happiness on the third level, which is that happiness is in fact caring for other beings. It's listening. It's just that. Caring for other beings and listening. And suffering is creating in a world that may or may not welcome our creations. Basically original sin, right? Again, purpose. It's creativity, purpose. Original sin. So you take this Taoist balancing act and you push it over a little bit towards happiness. And so what that means is that you are a little more receptive than you are creative. So you breathe in the other first. You listen to the other first. You co-create with the other, but only after first listening. And in so doing, you attain happiness. So, hope that helps. Hope you guys are doing really well. UNITY.